Hi, so welcome to this episode of History Honors. I'm here in Manor, Texas, a little small town outside of Austin, Texas. I'm here visiting my son, but being a fan of the 1994 movie What's Eating Gilbert Grape, I decided to come here and show you some filming locations from that movie. It was one of the films that kind of put Leonardo DiCaprio in the star stage. He won some awards for playing a developmentally disabled brother of Johnny Depp. A lot of the scenes were shot here in town, including the store where Johnny Depp worked. And that water tower back there is the same water tower that Leonardo DiCaprio could not resist climbing in the movie. He actually climbed that water tower. I'm going to tell you all about it and show you some other scenes shot in the movie right here in Manor, Texas. Join us. What's Eating Gilbert Grape was filmed starting in November 1992 and finished in late January 1993. The film had a limited release on December 17, 1993, and a wide release on March 4, 1994. The wide release garnered $2.1 million on the first weekend. It was considered a box office bomb, with the total domestic gross for the film being a little over $10 million, although it had gained a following later on. Right now, this water tower is surrounded by a chain link fence, but I don't think it was here when the film crew was here back in 92 or early 93. But I'll try to get closer to it. The tank itself reads Manor, a 150th anniversary. This town actually dates back to 1872 as a shipping point for the Houston and Texas Central Railroad. Today, Manor has about 18,300 residents and is primarily a farming town, so you can imagine that the presence of a Hollywood film crew in town caused some excitement. Every little town across the country has water towers like these. By lifting the water tank high in the air, you create a water pressure to service a small town. But as towns grew and the advent of electric pumps and lift stations, these devices are pretty much obsolete. A lot of towns have left these up as landmarks, and some towns are removing them. Very cool to think that famous actor Leonardo DiCaprio climbed up this tower. Maybe he was lifted up by a bucket 30 years ago. I don't know how they did it. Of course, every time he climbed up the water tower, the police department, the fire department had to come out and rescue him because falling from those heights would kill somebody, and they were tired of his attraction to climb that tower. Even his sister, Ellen Grape, played by Mary-Kate Schellenhart, she's tired of it, gets a little rough with him as she yanks him off the ladder. And Gilbert sees what's happening and comes to his aid. He's always protective as his little brother.
What am I supposed to do? Try to climb it again.
I don't care. Just get out of here. Just get out of here.
Some of the metal buildings that you see here at the base of the water tower, they were not here back when the movie was shot. So that long shot that you see from the water tower to Dreme, just next block over, you cannot duplicate it today. Now, for his role playing Arnie, 19-year-old DiCaprio received his first nomination for an Academy Award and Golden Globe Award for Best Actor in a Supporting Role. So after looking at it, I can tell that this leg is the one that Leonardo went up because it's the only one with a ladder that goes all the way to the top. There's only one ladder on these four legs. And if you notice, there's a notch up there on the tank lid that enabled a person to climb to the very top. You can also see, in looking at the film back then and the way it looks now, that they removed that vertical pipe that ran from the tank to the water system below. So they removed that and they capped it at ground level. I think that's pretty cool to note that right there is where they filmed the water tower scenes with Johnny Depp and Leonardo DiCaprio before he was this up-and-coming star. In fact, he had such an amazing role. I was just super impressed when I watched it. I'm not a Leonardo DiCaprio fan, but as a kid, I mean, the acting abilities that kid had was just stellar. I understand that preparing for the role, that he hung out with developmentally disabled children so he could kind of study their mannerisms and how they spoke and how they held their hands. I think he did an incredible job. So when I got here, I was a little disappointed because Dreme, the ice cream shop in the film, is no longer here. As you can see, I think it's a Chinese restaurant. It was located right here. Juliette Lewis did scenes out here. So did Crispin Glover, John C. Reilly. They were all over here eating ice cream right across the street from Lansom's Grocery. It's kind of sad to see this old part of town shriveling. I'm sure this Main Street saw a lot more activity back in the day. So the ice cream parlor obviously was over here, but this metal building right next door to it can be seen in the background in some of the scenes from the movie. So as many of you know, Gilbert Grape was having an affair with Betty Carver. She was the wife of Ken Carver. Of course, Betty was played by Mary Steenburgen, and Ken is played by Kevin Tighe. And so he has an insurance office here. It's this building. Gilbert is asked to come down and have a little talk with Ken at his office, and you see the pickup arrive from down Lexington Street there. It's kind of a strange scene because Gilbert thinks he's going to be confronted about the affair, but the talk centers on Gilbert's lack of insurance. But the dialogue kind of leaves you thinking that Carver is threatening Gilbert, and he knows what's going on. Depp gets out of his truck and walks into the insurance office. It was right there. There was a door right where the wide glass window is now. It's been replaced by the glass window. This building looks pretty much the same way that it did back in 1992. This building's been here for quite a while. So judging by the sign on that closed gas station over there, the last time gas was sold here was $2.99 a gallon. And I guess by Texas standards, that's pretty cheap because where I'm coming from, California, gas has been as high as $6 a gallon, and I'm visiting here in September 2022. So obviously, if you're a fan of Gilbert Grape, you will recognize that I'm right in the location where Gilbert Grape was shot. This is one of the scenes that you see prominently in the 1993 movie. Because right over here is where Johnny Depp worked in the grocery store in the fictional town of Andorra. This is the actual location where they filmed Gilbert Grape. You would have been back here in 1993. This would have been a great hub of activity. Leonardo, DeCaprio, Juliette Lewis, Johnny Depp, all filmed at this location right here. So
yes, sir, please do.
this is the store, huh? It's changed quite a bit, though.
I've been, yes. I don't know, it doesn't look like that.
No, it looks a little different.
Yes, sir.
Do you have a lot of people come by here asking?
A few of them, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's almost 30 years.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so this is the store. Probably these poles here are probably the same.
If anybody ever hits you, what are you gonna do, Arnie? You're gonna tell me, and then I'm gonna take care of it for you, right?
So you're Gilbert.
Because I'm Gilbert.
This has changed quite a bit since Johnny Depp was here and here working, pricing goods in this store.
Hey, boss. Is that the right price?
That's right.
And delivering groceries to, I guess, horny middle-aged women. Mary Steenburgen plays that. Hollywood history, shot right here in this little tiny store in Manor, Texas. I can guarantee you this stock has changed quite a bit since Johnny Depp was putting tags on it. Yeah, very interesting. That's probably the original floor too. It's very dated. Johnny Depp walked on these tiles. Well, thank you for letting me shoot.
You are welcome.
All right.
Yes. You have a nice day.
You too. So the gentleman in the store let me go in there and videotape it, and I picked up a copy of the Manor Journal. It's a newspaper here in Manor. I'm going to check it out because I'm also in the newspaper industry. This one was free, though. Unfortunately, on my visit, I didn't know that Depp left his footprint in the sidewalk down the street, but here is a photo of it. So So as I rolled into Manor, here at 709 Lexington Street, I saw this beautiful old house. It's been boarded up. It looks like it's been here quite a while. Fortunate to see, because I'm sure it's got some historical significance. Just across the street from this old mansion is the new water tower. It's replaced the old water tower that's featured in the film. So now we're going to be off to the town of Coupland, Texas. It's about 21 minutes from Manor, Texas, where they filmed the cemetery scenes that were shot out there. I tell you what, this is one busy stretch of road here. We have identified where the cemetery scenes were shot. If you remember in the film, Ken Carver, who's the insurance agent, played by Kevin Ty, he commits suicide. And I think it's because he knows that his wife is having an affair with Johnny Depp during his grocery deliveries. He suspects maybe his wife's been unfaithful for a number of times. He commits suicide by drowning himself in the kiddie pool in the front yard of the house. And then they have a funeral for him. It's actually out at, I believe it's called St. Peter's Catholic Cemetery in Coupland, Texas. And there's some poignant scenes there where Leonardo DeCaprio is mourning at the grave of his father. They have a grave marker there for him. I'm not sure. It looks like they plastered the name on the back of another person's marker. I'm going to go out there and see if I can identify exactly where they had that cemetery or that funeral. I know that Crispin Glover was there, John C. Reilly was there, Mary Steenburgen, and of course the widow was there, Juliette Lewis. I don't know if she's there. The other actress that's in the film, I can't quite remember her name, but she's also in this scene. And we're going to go to that cemetery and see if we can identify exactly where that funeral service took place. Somebody knocked the sign down, but it says, "Welcome to Coupland." So I made it to the St. Peter's Church Cemetery. This is where the Gilbert Grape cemetery scene was shot. It's a rural cemetery. So I don't know how they shot this movie here with being so close to the road, but the camera was right about here, and you see this grave here for the Ebens. Father Harms Otten Eben died in 1919, and Anna Eben, she died in 1891. This is the only grave here with a iron fence around it, but this is our clue as to where the funeral service took place. And also in the background you see these two markers here, and believe it or not, this building has been placed right over the spot where the funeral service was held. And I've parked my car behind it, not knowing that this is exactly where the funeral service is.
In sure and certain hope of the resurrection to eternal life, we commend to Almighty God our brother Kenneth Carver.
So it's all been covered by building. Obviously that was here at the time, 1910. So unfortunately things have changed. Right here is where their service was held. Unfortunately, because this building's here, I can't even show you the ground that they stood on. So apparently they knew maybe this building was being planned back then, and they knew if they dug a hole here or maybe pretended like if there was going to be a grave here that it would be like over a grave, because obviously this is now a concrete pad. There you go. This shows you that this was built in 2017 for Edgar and Ruth Thiel. It's a memorial pavilion for them. All right, so there's one other location that I want to find. It's where the grave of Gilbert Grape was in the film. Leonardo DiCaprio is sitting at this grave. Again, I think maybe a false front was put on a existing grave. I'm going to try to find where that one was located. So the interesting thing about filming location inside of a cemetery is you have a lot of markers for your guide, and in particular the one gravestone that stands out in the film is this one. So the grave of Herman Getz and his wife Elsie is important because it helps you identify where Leonardo DiCaprio was idling his time during the funeral service. Leonardo DiCaprio had no interest in the funeral service for Mr. Carver. Instead, he was out here right here by his father's grave. And we know that because the Getz grave is right next to it. But Leonardo was right here while the funeral service was right over here.
And be gracious to him. The Lord look upon him with favor and give him peace. Lord Jesus.
But that dirt road behind is where the Burger Barn portable billing is brought through, and Leonardo DiCaprio gets really excited about it. Burger Barn, Burger Barn. And John C. Reilly sees it coming and he smiles because this is his dream come true, to bring Burger Barn to his small town of Endora. I wonder if anybody knew how big that Leonardo DiCaprio was going to be as an actor when they were out here filming this scene. Well, in doing my research about the filming locations of What's Eating Gilbert Grape, carried me here to Pflugerville, Texas, and what is now going to be a subdivision. But believe it or not, the Gilbert Grape house was right behind me, right behind this fence. It's no longer here. And it looks like they're getting ready to build some houses here. Unfortunately, the house is gone. It was the house that the 800-pound mother was trapped in, pretty much. And it was right out here. The house was right out here. As you can see, it's all gone. That tree is probably the only tree left from this location. And I'm seeing a couple of bricks out here. Now they're modern pavers. They're not anything. It'd be really hard to believe that the only thing out here is weeds. There will be houses here soon. I could be standing right where it was. You couldn't prove it by me. But the people who've researched this location have said this is where it was. At the corner of Bobo and Smedley Lane. If you remember, the property had some trees on it, and Leonardo DiCaprio actually climbed a couple of trees that were next to the farmhouse. I am betting that this tree was here at the time along the road. As you can see, the road and the property have been separated by a modern fence. I always hate it when I go to a filming location and nothing looks like it used to. I think we're approaching the 29th anniversary of the filming of the movie. So it's expected in 30 years to change quite a bit. They actually, when she died upstairs, they decided to burn the entire house and start a new life all over again. Very sad ending to that classic movie. There's the road sign up there. Bobo and Smedley Drive. The location of the house was right over here. Because of her size, Bonnie Grape didn't like to leave the house, but there's one scene where she had to go down to the courthouse and free her son Arnie. Those scenes were shot at the town square of Lockhart, Texas, which I won't be visiting today, but here's some photos of it. All right, me and my trusty rental car here, this ugly red Kia, are going to take us to another part of Pflugerville where we're going to show you where Ken Carver's house was, where Johnny Depp went in and had special favors from Mary Steenburgen.
I'm doing the best I can here.
Sometimes you go to filming locations that are a little bit different looking than what you see in the movies, and this is the house that Mary Steenburgen lives in the movie. This is where Johnny Depp delivers groceries from the grocery store, and he walks in there and she seduces him as he participates. And in the background, you'll see a tower off in the distance. It's supposed to be the same water tower that's in the other town that we just visited, Manor. So this is 600 South Railroad, and the house looks vastly different for two main reasons. Back in 1992 or 1993, This house was out in the country, mostly by itself. If you look down the road, and now subdivisions have been built all around it, so that makes it look different. And secondly, the house has been painted a different color. In fact, they painted the bricks in the front. Gilbert Grape makes a delivery of groceries to the house, and Betty Carver, played by Mary Steenburgen, sees him driving up and promptly sends the kids outside. She's baking him cookies. Now, you probably remember that scene where she starts coming on to him and starts, well, you know what she does. For some reason, he engages in a phone conversation with Ken Carver back at his office. And he says he's got to leave. Gilbert promptly leaves. She's upset. She wonders if his change of heart about their affair has anything to do with the new girl who came into town. Well, Ken Carver asks Gilbert to come down to his office for a talk, and he does. After their talk, Ken asks Gilbert to drive him home since Betty has the car at home, and they find her distraught on the porch with smoke pouring from burning cookies in the kitchen.
Here, have some of Mom's cookies.
So from Pflugerville, Texas, outside of the house of the Carvers from the movie Gilbert Grape, we hope that you enjoyed this episode of History Hunters. We'd love to know if you watched the movie, Who's Eating Gilbert Grape, what you thought of the filming locations that we showed you here today. And if you could give us a thumbs up and subscribe to History Hunters, we would appreciate that as well. Thank you so much.